Easter Island is a Chilean island and special territory in the southeastern Pacific Ocean, at the southeasternmost point of Oceania's Polynesian Triangle. The island is best known for its nearly 1,000 extant monumental statues known as Moai, which were built by the Rapa Nui people. Easter Island was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1995, with much of the island protected within Rapa Nui National Park. Welcome to the CHF Information Channel. Experts disagree on when the island's Polynesian inhabitants arrived. While many researchers cited evidence that they arrived around the year 800, a 2007 study presented compelling evidence that their arrival was closer to 1200. As evidenced by the island's numerous enormous stone moai and other artifacts, the inhabitants created a thriving and industrious culture. However, agricultural land clearing and the introduction of the Polynesian rat resulted in gradual deforestation. The island's population was estimated to be 2,000 to 3,000 people at the time of European arrival in 1722. European diseases, Peruvian slave raiding expeditions in the 1860s, and emigration to other islands such as Tahiti all contributed to the population's depletion, which reached a low of 111 native inhabitants in 1877. Easter Island is one of the world's most isolated inhabited islands. Pitcairn Island, 2,075 kilometers away, is the nearest inhabited land, around 50 residents in 2013. The Dutch explorer Jacob Roggeveen was the first known European visitor to Easter Island, arriving in 1722. To commemorate the day they arrived, the Dutch named the island Pasaland, Easter Island. The Spanish Viceroy of Peru dispatched an expedition to the island in 1770. The explorers spent 4 days ashore and estimated a native population of 3,000 people. Only 4 years later, British explorer Sir James Cook arrived to find Easter Island's population decimated by what appeared to be a civil war, with only 600 to 700 men and fewer than 30 women left. The famous large stone statues, or moai, of Easter Island were carved between 1100 and 1680 CE, rectified radiocarbon dates. There are 887 monolithic stone statues on the island and in museum collections. Although they are commonly referred to as Easter Island heads, the statues have torsos that end at the top of the thighs. A small number of the statues are complete figures that kneel on bent knees with their hands over their stomachs. Some upright moai have been buried up to their necks by shifting soils. Almost all moai, 95%, were carved from compressed, easily worked solidified volcanic ash or tuff discovered at a single location on the side of the extinct volcano Rana Uraku. The native islanders who carved them used only stone hand chisels, primarily basalt toki, which are still scattered throughout the quarry. When the stone chisels became dull, they were sharpened by chipping off a new edge. The volcanic stone was softened by being splashed with water while being sculpted. While many teams worked on different statues at the same time, a single moai took about a year to complete by a team of 5 or 6 men. Each statue represented a lineage's deceased head. Only 1/4 of the statues have been installed. Nearly half remained in the Rana Uraku quarry, while the rest sat elsewhere, presumably on their way to their destinations. Paru is the largest moai raised on a platform. It weighs 82 tons, 90 short tons, and measures 9.89 meters, 32 feet 5 inches, in length. Several other statues of comparable size were transported to the north and south coasts of Oahu. The statues could have been moved using the miromangarua, a Y-shaped sledge with cross pieces pulled by ropes made from the tough bark of the hau tree and tied around the statue's neck. Depending on the size of the moai, 180 to 250 men were needed to pull it. Vince Lee, who reenacted a moai moving scenario, was one of the other researchers on moving and erecting the moai. In modern times, 50 of the statues have been re-erected. In 1956, one of the first was on Ahuature in Anakena Beach. During a Heyerdahl expedition, it was raised using traditional methods. Another method of transporting the moai would have been to tie ropes to it and rock it, pulling it forward as it rocked. This would fit with the legend of the moai walking to their final resting places. The heads of the moai in the quarry are sloped forward, whereas the ones moved to final locations are not. This would serve to provide a better center of gravity for transport. The statues found along the transport roads have wider bases than statues installed on Oahu. This would facilitate more stable transport. Studies have shown fractures along the bases of the statues in transport. These could have arisen from rocking the statue back and forth and placing great pressures on the edges. The statues found mounted on Oahu do not have wide bases, and stone chips found at the sites suggest they were further modified on placement. The abandoned and fallen statues near the old roads are found, more often than would be expected from chance, face down on ascending grades and on their backs when headed uphill. Some were documented standing upright along the old roads, for example, by a party from Captain Cook's voyage that rested in the shade of a standing statue. This would be consistent with upright transport. The environmental impact of the monument-making process is being debated. Some argue that the process of making the moai resulted in widespread deforestation and, eventually, a civil war over scarce resources. A large moai statue was excavated from the ground in 2011. During the same excavation program, some larger moai were discovered to have complex dorsal petroglyphs, which were revealed by deep torso excavation. Due to brake failure, a pickup truck crashed into and destroyed a moai statue in 2020. The incident caused no injuries. Please subscribe to our channel for more videos.